Welcome to Storytime Sunday 31. Just let me, just let me, ugh, just let me fix myself. 'Cause I'm not set right here. You thought I was worth saving, so you came and changed my life. You thought I was worth keeping, so you cleaned me up inside. You thought I was to die for, so you sacrificed your life so I can be free and I can be whole. Now I will tell everyone I know. You thought I was worth saving, so you came and changed my life. You thought I was worth keeping, so you cleaned me up inside. You thought I was to die for, so you sacrificed your life so I can be free and I can be whole. And I will tell everyone I know. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Glory to the God who saved my life. We praise you. We praise you forever. We praise you forever. Now I can be free and I can be whole. Now I will tell everyone I know. You thought I was worth saving, so you came and changed my life. You thought I was worth keeping, so you cleaned me from inside. You thought I was to die for, so you sacrificed your life, Lord, Lord, so I can be free and I can be whole. Now I will tell everyone I know. I love that song. It's by Anthony Brown. It's called Worth. It was a few years ago now. I just, not just heard it, but I heard it about like a year ago. Um, it was, it's really good. One of my favorite worship songs ever, ever. So yeah, welcome to Storytime Sunday 31. The story today is called FairPlay, and it is pre-recorded. What I mean by pre-recorded is you'll hear my voice, but I won't be speaking live. Um, so I hope you enjoy this story. I came up with it actually a few years ago, so I hope you enjoy it. Oh, sorry, the Lord just changed the story on me. Um, he said instead of fair play, it is called worth saving. So I will change that title. Um, right after this story uploads, I will edit it and change the title. So today it's not called FairPlay. It's called Worth Saving. Storytime Sunday 31. On the recording, you'll hear a different number of the story. That was because when I recorded this, I thought it was going to be number 20, whatever, but it ended up being 31. So it is Storytime Sunday 31, although it will say a different number on the um, on the on the recording. So sit back, relax, enjoy the story called Storytime Sunday 31, and it's called Worth Saving. You thought I was worth saving, but you came and changed my life. You thought I was worth keeping, so you cleaned me up inside. You thought I was to die for, so you sacrificed your life. Now I can be free, and I can be whole. Now I will tell everyone I know. Here it goes, guys. Enjoy Worth Saving. Although it said on the recording to FairPlay, but God often goes off schedule, or our way. He often has his own agenda, although we don't know it at the time. So that's what he did to me this morning. So this story is called Worth Saving, although it will say on the recording FairPlay, because I originally thought it was called FairPlay. It was funny. I was just watching a sermon this morning that talked about God's unscheduledness, about how He likes to do things on an unscheduled basis, but His plans are the best. So enjoy this story. Welcome to Storytime. Welcome to Storytime Sunday. Welcome to Storytime Sunday 26. I'm recording this ahead of time because I've had this story for a while, and I find when I do it live, I get nervous, so I'm recording like 3 of these one after the other, just so I don't forget. This one is called FairPlay. And this one is about a girl named Maisie Sternum. And Maisie was like a chubby kid in high school, not very popular, like very geeky and very just not very popular with anyone. And what happened was she used to always get teased, but the ringleader um, of where who started the teasing was this guy named Ryan Cornell. And Ryan was a rich snob. He had all this money and all this fame. He was very popular with everyone and made her life a living hell. He would entice the other girls to tease her by paying them to play practical jokes on her and really mean practical jokes. Poor Maisie would just be crying every day she came from school. And Ryan really just didn't care. He was not a real nice kid. He was like a snob, really popular, um, really, really popular. Really, he was someone that people followed, and um, and everyone would follow him. But what happened was, and poor Maisie would just come home crying every day, and this story started when Facebook first got popular, and he would put things on her Facebook wall and get other people to tease her from her Facebook wall. So not only in school, but other places too, he would get people to throw stuff on her and lock her in places. And one day when she was in class, she they had an assignment to talk about what they were really afraid of and how they would overcome that fear and what they still need to work on. She trusted the class to tell them that she was claustrophobic. So after school, what what she did was what Ryan did was get some of the girls to lock her in the in the closet for hours and they would take away her lunch. They were just really mean to poor Maisie. And Ryan was the ringleader of it because everyone followed him, and he was like, his parents were rich snobs. He got whatever he wanted. He was just not a nice kid. And what happened was, okay, so her high school experience was awful. Um, but at the end of high school, she got an internship, or what we call a co-op, working in a hospital. And she met someone there in the hospital that really, really imparted to her, Mrs. Mosley. And Mrs. Mosley saw that she really liked to help people and really liked to take care of people. So Mrs. Mosley encouraged her. She was like, Maisie was like, I don't know what to do, what I want to do after school, but I'm not really sure. And Mrs. Mosley said, you should be a nurse. Mrs. Mosley said, I really wanted to be um, a banker. I loved math and I loved money. But at the time I grew up, women weren't bankers. So I didn't get to go after being a banker. And Mrs. Mosley said, don't make the same mistake I did, dear. be a nerd, be whatever you want to be. Um, and Macy said, what is that? And I don't even know how to figure that out. It's almost at the end of high school and people are applying for colleges and stuff, and I don't even know what I want to do. I don't even know what I'm interested in. They have guidance counselors in my school, but they're not helping. So what do I do? She's like, what do you think about, Mrs. Moses said, what do you think about when you are alone by yourself? What do you think about? And is there anything when you think about it, you just say, yes, I really love to do that, and I really love to, and I really love to do this thing. This thing makes me happy. And she said, the only thing, and Maisie said, the only thing that is like that for me is coming here to work with you and the other patients. Um, and Mrs. Wilson said, well, see, and we love having you. You care for us, you go above and beyond. Maybe you should think of being a nurse. For people like me and people who are older, and maybe sometimes people who are older, and maybe sometimes people at the end of their life, because you are really good at making people feel um, wonderful and making them feel okay. You are really good at it. She was like, well, I get, Maisie was like, well, I guess it comes from my mom dying. I saw the nurses and how they took care of her. And when this co-op came out, I just thought, I'm gonna be like the nurses that took care of my mom. Um, she's like, my dad wasn't a very good dad. He fed me and everything, but he wasn't there for me all the time. And she's like, I grew up alone, and I never wanted anyone to grow up alone. And Mrs. Moses said, this is what you're meant to do, dear. Go after it. Don't waste your time like I did. And Mrs. Moses said, show them what you made of, dear. And Maisie went home and she looked up how to become a nurse for hospice, specifically for people at the end of their lives. And she she filled up. She knew that she had the grades for nursing school, and what she didn't have, she could take over the summer. And she really wanted to tell Mrs. Mosley. Um, when she went back, however, Mrs. Mosley had died, and as she sat there wondering what to do, this sweet little lady at the end of her life said, show them what you're made of. And she vowed to show the bullies that teased her and bullied her and called her nerd what she was made of. And Um, a year after high school, Ryan, the guy who was responsible for uh, inciting bullying, uh, to meet with these, all his friends a year after high school. He was playing basketball and he got dizzy, um, and collapsed. And before this, he had been getting dizzy on and off for a few months. It started on graduation day when he was in the bathroom and he got dizzy, but then the dizziness stopped. So he didn't worry about it. He thought it was nerves. And ever since then, periodically, he'd been getting dizzy and really just ignoring it. But this time on the basketball, on the football field, he was playing with his friends uh, football and he collapsed and they, um, when he went to the hospital, they did a scan, a CAT scan, and it turned out that he had cancer. And okay, so when he found out he had cancer and told his friends, they all walked away from him, and they all really just went away from him. And his family just couldn't be bothered with him as well. They just acted like cancer was the plague. So here he was, just alone and all that stuff. So a year went by, 2 years went by, 3 years went by, 4 years went by, 5 years went by, 6 years went by, 7 years went by, 8 years went by, 10 years went by, and he had been like in remission, out of remission, got cancer, beat it, got cancer again, beat it, got cancer again. He had cancer like 4 times, and then he beat it each time. But this last time, this fourth time, they said, you know what, look, you've beaten it so many times that the chemo has uh, developed, you've developed a resistance to the chemo and it's not working. Uh, and the doctor said, I'm sorry, Ryan, your prognosis, it doesn't look good. It looks like you've only got like 6 months to a year. And he was, his parents were very self-absorbed, but his grandfather was the nicest man. And before his grandfather died, he left him a trust for his life. But to get all of that trust, he needed to be 21, which he was by this point. He was 27. He needed to be 21, and he needed to get married, and he needed to have a baby. So, like, dealing with the cancer that he was dealing with and beat it 4 times, he just automatically put it off and put it off and put it off. And now that he's dying, he can't put it off anymore. So, but he needs a hospice nurse because he can't do much. He needs a hospice nurse because he can't do anything anymore, and someone to monitor his medications and whatever. And at that time, Maisie from his high school is a full-time hospice nurse, and and she works for a hospice agency, and her boss calls her into the office and says and gives her his case, but doesn't tell her anything. She tells her about the client, but um, she doesn't give her a name or whatever because of confidentiality reasons. Um, so when she knocks on the door, she comes to find out that it's the same Ryan who teased her all the way, who bullied her and made her life a living hell. And he says when she sees that it's him, she says, I'm leaving. I don't want this anymore. I don't care what state your life is in. I don't care what happened to you. I'm not taking care of you. She's like, you treated me too bad. You got the other kids to tease me mercilessly, and I can't take in good conscience take care of you anymore. And he's like, oh, he's like, please, I need you. I have no one else. Everyone else has left me. Everyone from high school has left me. No one wants to be with me when they're all acting like I have the plague. I beat cancer 4 times, and every time I beat it, they're all my friends and family are back again. But every time it comes back, they go away again. Nobody wants me for me. They just want me for my money and what I can give them. In high school, you were the only one who tried to befriend me. She's like, and yeah, what did that give me? 4 years of hell. She's like, I'm out of here. And she leaves. But there's something about him now. There's something about those eyes that she can't get over. And she desperately needs the money to pay her bills. Because it's been a while since she's had a client and her bills are due and she can't pay them. Because it's a private agency, which means the client pays. And so she needs the money, and so she agrees to do it. And then when she agrees to do it, her first day of work, it's like he doesn't want to do anything. He doesn't want to get up. he doesn't want to do anything. So she just leaves him there, and the second day, same thing, third day, same thing. And fourth day, he says, she says, come on, we're getting up. We're, go, we're getting up and going down for breakfast and leaving the room. So she gets him up. They go down to breakfast and they have a talk. And he says, I want to say something about high school. And he says, I'm so sorry for how I treated you in high school. It was inexcusable. I was a, I was a vain somebody, thought I knew everything. Thought I had everything. I had lots of friends, lots of money, lots of connections, and I thought that could buy me. But in the end, it didn't buy me. All my friends and family that I needed them, they turned their backs on me. Um, and he's like, I'm so sorry. And she's like, I accept your apology. And and from that day on, uh, they became friends. And when she'd come in the morning, they'd go out for walks and they'd go out to the amusement parks. And really, he she taught him to embrace life. And he got a call one day from a doctor hearing uh, oh no, first his family came to visit him and he asked her to leave the room while he talked to his mother, sister, and brother. And he thought they came to see how he was doing. He was kind of excited and kind of hopeful. But all they came for was to sign over the trust to them because they heard he was dying and they wanted the money that his grandfather had left him. And and they said, come on, you're not going to need it anymore. Anyway, you're going to be dead in 6 months. And where is it going to be? And they're like, sign it over to us. And they're like, and he's like, get out, get out. So they leave, and she's hearing everything by the door. And he cries because he thought they were finally there to care about him, to see him. But they were just there to get the inheritance that his grandfather had left him. And hearing this, she felt so bad for him. And she asked him, she didn't ask him like he was ready to talk. He's like, I bet you're wondering what that was about. She's like, not really, not if you don't want to talk about it. He's like, it's all right. It's my grandpa. My parents were really selfish, and so were my brother. But my grandpa was the best. He took me on bike rides. He taught me everything I know. He taught me how to tie my shoes. He taught me how to do everything I know. Before he died, he put up a trust for me and said, "This is a trust for when I start my family and have a baby. To get access to the trust, I need to have a wife. To get access to half the trust, I need to have a wife and the baby. And as you know, I only have less than a year to live, and now my mother and brother want this money. He's like, I can't let it go to them. They'd squander it on cars and whatever. And it wasn't for that. It was for me and my future family. He's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but I don't want them to have. And and she goes home and she goes home and thinks, and all she can do is think about him and his cancer and the quandary he has with this fund, with this trust, that his grandfather set up for him. If he got married and had a baby within a year, and her she didn't make much as a hospice nurse from the agency, and she really needs the money. And plus, uh, against her better judgment, she's falling in love with him. So she doesn't want to see him like his money go to um, money hungry people who just wanted to buy cars and clothes and whatever. And so she doesn't see it as her place, but she thought she would ask him anyway if she could marry him and at least take half of the money. And so the next morning, she takes a deep breath. Oh no, no, no. When he tells her, he gets an idea. He says, "Hey, why don't you marry me and we can take the money?" And then she's like, "What? Me? Marry you?" And she's like, he's like, "Yeah. Um, we can get married as soon as possible, and everything will be transferred to you." And she's like, I'm not sure. He's like, "Come on, please." And she's like, "Well, can I think about it?" And he's like, "Sure." And then she goes home that night and thinks about it and thinks about it and thinks about it. And the next day, she comes in and says, "Yes, I will marry you." So they get married, um, by the minister coming to the house and performing the ceremony with his assistant as the witness. Um, and and then when they leave, um, he says, "Thank you. At least I will get half the money. I won't get all of it because to get all of it, I need to have a baby, but that's not yet going to happen." And so, so when they're married, she moves out of her parents' house into his, and they settle into married life. And then she really starts falling in love with him, and he starts falling in love with her. And one day, um, she's afraid, like, he's afraid to tell her that he's actually falling in love with her because he's dying, and it's unfair of him to say I love you, but I'm dying, and he wants to let her to get a divorce so she could go. But when he brings up the subject, he's like no, I'm staying. I'm with you, and we're in this together. He's like, well, I'm dying. And and she's like, well, I don't care. And he's like, I love you. And she's like, I love you when there's nothing you could do to send me away. So get used to it. And he's like, I love you too. And then she closes the door. And then she goes over to his bed and kisses him. And when they kiss, he's a little weak, but it's explosive. And he's like, stay with me. And she's like, sure. And they start kissing and making out and all that stuff. And when he gets when she gets down to the bottom, um, he like reaches for a condom, and she says to him, no. He's like, but she's like, no, I want to have a baby with you. He's like, but and he's like, but I'm dying. You'll be a single mom alone. She's like, I'll have a party for you when you pass on. And, And he shrugs and he says, "Are you sure?" And she says, "Mm-hmm." So they make love for the first time, and for the next 2 weeks, they make love every night. And 4 weeks later, she discovers that she's pregnant, and he goes through her pregnancy with her. Like, she makes sure that he's involved every step of the way. And then when she go, uh, uh, like the doctor comes to them, and everything, every decision he's involved in, the baby's room and everything. And the first trimester goes by, the second trimester goes by. At the 2 weeks before her due date, she goes into labor. And keep in mind, throughout this process, he is getting sicker and sicker. So she goes into labor and has their baby, which is a girl, and they call her Miracle. Um, and uh, she, and then the baby's beautiful and healthy, and they take my mother and baby out of the hospital, and her father, who is totally weak now, uh, he he holds the baby with the help of the mother. So they both enjoy their new baby and whatever. And then she's like, she's like, he's like, "Hello, Miracle. Hello, sweet girl." And you see her cooing and doing a baby thing. And he's smiling. And then she lies down with her husband, whose arm is wrapped around the baby, and his arm is wrapped around the baby, and then she wakes up, and the baby's crying, and she takes the baby away from her husband, and it turns out that the baby that Ryan died, her husband died with his daughter cradled in his arms so securely. I hope you enjoyed this Storytime Sunday, 26th. I'll see you later. Bye. What a powerful story. Uh, it's really powerful. Sorry, some of the times I changed tact, I changed the story, because one of my endings was like they found the cancer treatment and he got healed, but that's what I was going to say, but I kind of changed it to that. And I think that was such a sweeter ending. Oh, that was so sweet. He died with his baby daughter in his arms. Oh my God, that's so sweet. So, thank you so much for joining me today for Storytime Sunday 31. I know I said it was 26 on the thing, but it's really 31, and I'm changing the title from Fair Play to Worth Saving because the reason why I called it Fair Play, first of all, was the saying called Turnabout is fair play, which means he dissed her and did all of that stuff. And in the end, she needed him. So it turned around and it was fair play. But the Lord said to call it worth saving because uh, not so much that his life was worth saving, because he still died in the end. But their relationship was worth saving, both to do with the fact that um, he she was he was Ryan bullied her, and their relationship in high school was tarnished. But at the end, when he needed her, the relationship was worth saving. And plus, his trust fund was worth saving because it it provided for his wife and his baby daughter when when he was gone. So that's why I changed it to worth saving. So thank you so much. Take care. You thought I was worth saving, so you came and changed my life. You thought I was worth keeping, so you cleaned me from inside. You thought I was to die for, so you sacrificed your life. Now I can be free, so I can be whole. Now I will tell everyone I know. You thought I was worth saving, so you came and saved my life. You thought I changed my life. You thought I was worth keeping, so you cleaned me up inside. You thought I was to die for, so you sacrificed your life. Now I can be free, and I can be whole. Now I will tell everyone I know. Hallelujah. Glory to the God who changed my life. We praise you, we praise you forever, forever. You that I was worth saving. It's a beautiful story. sometimes I'm making these stories up as I go along and I forget what I originally said. There was one time in there where I said it was basketball and then I said football. It was so funny. Um, it could be either sport. I just needed a sport. Um, so that's what happened there. Thank you so much for joining me for this week's Storytime Sunday. Bye. See you next week.